Professor Ruqayyatu Ahmed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and my fellow delegates. I am Ruqayyatu Rufai, Professor of Education, Curriculum and Instruction. I do not want to stand the risk of repetition, but I have to stress that presidential speech that was given to us during inauguration was very rich. Actually, it is going to serve as the framework for the entire conference. I identified three major issues that I want to discuss under this presidential speech. Number one, the issue of youth and development. Mr. Chairman, we need to look at our youth, develop their skills, educate them, look at the issue of girl child education, look at the issue of the disabled. All those countries that we are talking about that have made it in life, they have stressed on their education system. We have to make it stronger and stronger and stronger. We really will have to take it up from the local governments, from the states, and up to the national level. And of course, no government can be able to fund its education sector. We have to find how to fund the system. Is it by collaboration with the partners? Is it that the parents will have to pay something? Is it that government will have to dedicate most of its budget to education? Whatever we want to do, we must stress and ensure that that is the bedrock of development, and we can't afford to miss that. Then I have seen one thing that is of interest to me, Mr. Chairman, this issue of unity. We have been repeating unity, unity, unity. In fact, the president mentioned that at least 11 times in his speech. I was thinking why? But Mr. Chairman, when I saw what is happening in this hall, I know why Mr. President has been stressing on unity. Mr. Chairman, somebody mentioned that you may have to lock some people up. We were all laughing. But it's not a laughing strategy. I believe the way we feel, how we are angry about ourselves and each other, you may have to identify those with serious opposing views. Lock them up for a while. If they settle their quarrel, I think we are going forward. We cannot afford to miss our unity. We have gone a long way, and we have to ensure the survival of this country. And how can we do that again? Why can't we look at our natural resources? We are all relying on oil. It's already given disaffection to all of us. Those that are having the oil are feeling shortchanged. Those that we don't have, we are feeling shortchanged. So why can't we ensure that all the natural resources in the country, we tap them, we harness them? We have this crude oil somewhere. Why can't we facilitate exploration? Solid mineral resources. Why can't we rely on that? What is happening to our agriculture? What is happening to the pyramids in Kano? Where are they? What of the Southwest? Where is the cocoa we used to have? Southeast, where is the palm products? We have all these natural resources, but we don't harness them, and we are yet quarreling on one thing, which may likely go with time. So we really have to plan as a nation. There are so many things that we have to do, but we have to begin from somewhere. So why can't we work together towards a common goal? Why can't we develop our future for our youth? Why can't we imbibe the culture of development in our youth by facilitating their future, by developing skills, by giving them employment without even having to go and queue and even die in some. So we really have something to do. And I feel bad sometimes, or I feel when our youth are talking, it means that we have really not delivered. That is the message. Our youth are not happy with us. What are we going to do? We must ensure their development. Otherwise, I'm sorry to say we are living on a time bomb. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Professor. Now we've taken the two that you permitted me to take. We shall now go back to the fold. And upon yes.
Sir, the nearest order I can cite is on page 18 with respect to delegates wanting to speak. I remember, sir, that yesterday another important lady wanted to speak. She took permission, but she was denied. Will you please, sir, allow her to make her contribution in view of the fact that she sought for permission.
It's noted. If she applies today again, she will be considered. And depending what you say. Thank you very much. I now call upon Alhaji Usman Faruk. He was the one who we stopped yesterday, promising to start for him today. Thank you for bearing with us, for keeping you down there.
Mr. Chairman, fellow delegates, my brief comment, I should like to have it be titled Instructions from the Elders. One of my first comment is that during the last week, somebody had tried to complain or urge a major general to apologize on behalf of the military for intervention. But thank God this never took place. But I would like to comment on that. The only person or persons to apologize for the military intervention are the military heads of state and those who plotted the coup in the first time. That's my comment. Also, I should like to add that having said that, I was military governor for the former Northwestern state, now comprising of Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, Niger, and substantial portion of Abuja. And I remained there for 9 years. And since I left office, the period now is over 38 years. So the total, in total, if I divorce a wife, or somebody has snatched my wife in the marketplace, it's been done in other places, and the man has stayed with her for up to 30 years, and yet he complains, he continues complaining of inadequacies. He continues complaining against me for not treating her the way he ought to have treated her. I think this man, there's something wrong in his head. So my advice to him, if after 20, 20, 30 years of staying with my wife, which is been snatched, he couldn't control her, he should return her to me. This is the point. I tried to explain this in who made a remark on the conduct, the efficiency and inefficiency of our government in the last 40 years. Everything being blamed to somebody. Now, after all, democracy is so designed. After 4 years or 8 years in office, you move out. Your successor will look at what you have done, and if there is any damage, you should repair it. But in Nigeria, in the last 40 years, we have been complaining of one source, one government alone, military. We've been there. And at the time the military reigned in this country, there were much fewer professors and lecturers. Today, each state is 100 professors. They are all in the government, and yet you keep blaming people who served this country 40 years ago. So if you can't do it, hand it over to anybody outside. My next comment, permits, is I want to comment on indigenship and non-indigenship. Relevant to the point made by Mr. President that we should be our brothers' keepers or sisters' keepers. One of the problems, the main thing that is regarding that particular item, is that in all the 36 states in the Federation, there are non-indigenous in hundreds, in millions. But the major problem is, if the non-indigenous with us, we do not, from my own record, we do not go to census with them, we do not register for election. At the time of census, the man is doing a very, very good business in Kano, but the moment census comes in, he moves his family to his own hometown and get them registered there. And the same thing when the election comes. Why? Is he denying the North of that number? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Filani, Professor Mrs. Tim. Filani, Professor Mrs. Titi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, sir, principal officers, distinguished delegates. My name is Titi Filani. I'm a nurse midwife and professor of nursing science. I represent Ogun State. I join my colleagues to congratulate Mr. President on his well-articulated and thought-provoking speech expressing his vision of a new Nigeria. And I salute Mr. President for his courage in attending this conference in spite of threats, skeptics, and pessimists. I would like to refer us to page 8, paragraph 2 of the President's speech, in which he asked us to engage in intense introspection about political and socio-economic challenges facing this country. Because we should ask ourselves, how did we get where we are today? What are those things that we did or we did not do that landed us in our present predicament? Chief Olufalaye gave us some answers to this yesterday in his presentation, that the regionalism, which we are eulogizing for the good life it produced then, was murdered, while true federalism was brought to a sudden death as a result of the incursion of military into governance in 1966. So what is the way forward? What is the way forward? I think the way forward according to Mr. President is that as asked us to articulate and synthesize our people's thoughts, views, and recommendations for a more united, peaceful, and politically stable Nigeria. He went further to identify issues to be discussed in this conference, and I would like to mention 3 of them. The structure of government. There is a need to critically examine and restructure our form of government to reduce the cost of governance and to make government more accountable to the people. Secondly, division of powers, that is another area. When power is devolved to states and local governments, and environment provided for them to function effectively, I think that would be in the best interest of our people. Regarding resource control, every federating state or zone or region should be encouraged to generate wealth, and contribute to the baking of the cake. I would and whatever is distributed from the center should be distributed in fairness, in equity, justice. However, other urgent issues that we need to focus on now are youth unemployment, security challenges, health, education, which have been exhaustively discussed. I would also like to add that senior citizens should be taken care of, and some social welfare package put in place for those in their need and abject poverty to enable them to live with some dignity. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Professor. The next is Fomudo Chief Joshua.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Joshua B. Fomudo, former president of the George National Congress and representing the South-South Zone. Mr. Chairman, I commend the President for his courage despite all opposition and propaganda. I believe in this confab because the motive is clean, there is no hidden agenda. The President has expectations for us. We should plan to meet it. And we also have our own expectations of him. We speedy action when our report gets to him. As the man on the hot seat, he knows the issues and have pointed the way to them on pages 16 and 17. The key issue for me is we must restructure this country. Proper self-determination to free the energies of Nigerians, to create wealth, to self-actualize and develop free from the stifling grip of central government. There is too much work to do, yet we have the greatest number of unemployed people. The central government must let go. We recognize that though we are one country, we are still different people. Our aspirations are not the same. So each component part must develop at own pace, with own blessings and advantages. And the blessings and advantages range all over the country. To hold one component part down for another negates the principle of unity, as this breeds anger, resistance, and enmity. We must therefore return to true federal system, true federalism, and bring to the table all Nigeria's resources, thus baking a lighter cake and free South people from the hue of wood and drawers of water role that they play for the whole country. For instance, Kogi State is adjudged the richest state in Nigeria today if the resources are tapped. The president introspection. This took me back to the military intervention into politics, which breached our 1963 Constitution, unitarized the country, and concentrated power at the center. This caused a struggle for power that in fact was a struggle for the control of the oil and gas resources out, and thus invited the resource curse. We had a constitution that was truly we the people, but the military changed this to me the people, because one man then decided and labeled it as we, and thus breached the spiritual essence of our constitution, because it lied about itself. We must have a genuine constitution that is we the people, to break away from the failures of the past. So some have asked, why don't we just go back to the 1963 Constitution and work? When power truly belongs to the people, they in turn vest their country, their patriotism. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The next person is Gabriel Professor Mrs. Amakievi.
Chairman, distinguished delegates, this presidential address carries or evokes hope. Sorry, my name is Professor Amakie V. Gabriel. I'm the delegate. As I said, I have been very hopeful because there are two critical issues the president raised. One, gender equality. Secondly, I'm interested in fiscal federalism. Gender equality encompasses women's empowerment. And that is my main. Women have been marginalized politically and economically. We know that very well. And so we have to redress this inequality because it is already a fundamental aspect of society. And this redressing requires systematic and deliberate approach that addresses those fundamental causes and effects of equality. We have to develop policies, deliberate policies. I recall that during the regime of General Ibrahim Babangida, there was a specific policy that every state should appoint a woman in the cabinet. So only one woman, but some states appointed two, particularly states in the southwest. This time, we have to adopt a deliberate policy that will make more women appear in the various cabinets. If we look at the statistics, in 1999, we had 3 women in Senate out of 109 people. In 2003, 3 women again, 2.8%. That is failure. The nation has failed, not women. House of Reps, we had 360 people, 12 women in 1999, 21 women in 2003. This time, we should adopt a deliberate policy where if a man emerges as a deputy governor, a woman should be the governor. And wherever a woman emerges as a governor, a man should be the deputy governor, and we should work like that. We should set an example on the continent. We cannot be a giant walking on one leg. We should walk on both legs, and women should be considered. Secondly, for fiscal federalism, I advocate a system where states should be giving grants, and these grants should be tied to projects. Take Rivers State, for instance. Rivers State has constructed the road from Port Harcourt to Owerri on its own axis and has not been refunded that money. Yet, it is a federal road. The other side is very bumpy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Professor. Galadima Engineer Abubakar Buba.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Abubakar Buba Galadima. Say that I look a little bit different from most of the speakers. The address of Mr. President, as laudable as many people have said, to me, it is just one of the speeches of leaders. In our country, from General Murtala Mohammed to General Babangida, General Abacha, had laudable speeches during such occasions. I must confess, Mr. Chairman, that I had been one of the critics of this conference. Maybe that was why when my name was submitted by my state, the federal government found it expedient to remove that name. By the grace of God, we are here. Mr. Chairman, the only difference between the speeches of these great people is that most of them had motives. Only General Murtala Mohammed told the nation when inaugurating such a forum that he had no interest in succeeding himself, and that whatever decisions taken by the Constituent Assembly would be binding on Nigeria. I have attended such conferences before, 1988, and I had colleagues that were there with us. I had attended one in 1994-95. What the president did not say, because as a patriotic, passionate patriotic Nigerian that I assume I am, I could have expected the president to say that whatever we decide will be for the benefit of Nigerians. That he himself, as a patriotic Nigerian, will not benefit from whatever decision that we take in this conference. Then I could have lauded him. I could have applauded for him. Sir, even children unborn know the problem of Nigeria because they know the nourishment that they receive from the wombs of their mothers. We all know the problems. We don't need to assemble here. When we want to talk about education, we had headmasters, principals, and vice chancellors even here. We put them one side. They can prepare a good educational system for people of this country. We don't need to expend and spend public funds for such a gathering. The chairman, sir, our problem out there, we have a proper electoral system where one man, one vote is counted, where all elections are held in one day. When we use technology to register voters, we use technology to accredit voters. When the votes of an individual counts, they will hold the leader. When the people, because many people mentioned the people's power. Where is the power of the people? When they can't elect a government, when they can't remove a government through the ballot box, and when the judiciary, who are supposed to be neutral arbiters in such circumstance, also join the fray of letting the